So the important bit, the interesting bit of his digestive system is the hindgut. And the first part of the hindgut I'm going to illustrate with this old feed bag. And this illustrates the caecum, which lies inside the horse's right flank. And it is indeed like a big sack. It holds between 25 and 35 litres. So those water carriers that we take to shows are 25 litres. So that would go in there. About the same size as a 9-year-old child, to give it some perspective. So let's pop that there. Once the food enters the hindgut, it slows right down. Instead of liquid being added, liquid is now being withdrawn. And along with that liquid, dissolved nutrients and salts, which we call electrolytes. The soluble nutrients in the diet are being taken out by the enzymes, but as we know, that isn't very much in horse diets. What remains is the fibre from the horse's forage. And that's broken down by innumerable microbes that live in the horse, mainly in the horse's hindgut. There are some in the foregut as well, but mainly in the hindgut. And there are literally trillions of them. And these microbes, bacteria, fungi, yeasts, all sorts of microorganisms, will break down the fibre that the horse eats and turn it into nutrients. So they will produce things called free fatty acids, which go down slow burn energy pathways, giving the horse stamina. And they also produce all the horse's B group vitamins and vitamin K. So these gut bugs are really, really useful. They create heat as they're doing their fermentation, so it's a similar process to that that's going on in your muck heap. And there's no better job on a cold day in the winter than sorting out the muck heap, because it's the warmest place on the yard. So similar process to that, creating lots of heat, so it's like central heating for the horse. But they're also producing a certain amount of gas, which is normal, but it's why horses are a bit farty sometimes. If you put your ear to your horse's right flank, you will hear a lot of noise going on, and that tells us that the gut microbes are active, that they are producing a certain amount of gas, because you will only get noises if there's gas being produced, and you'll only have gas being produced if the microbes are doing their job. So gut noises are good. So the food goes into the caecum, it's getting churned up with all these gut microbes, and because the food is going into the caecum about 90-95% liquid, that caecum can act like a reservoir for food and water for the horse should he have to flee from a predator or we start working him hard. From the caecum, the food goes into the large colon, and to illustrate the large colon, I have some industrial grade Hoover hose. Now, the reason why I've chosen Hoover hose to illustrate this is a Hoover hose has got wire coiled around it so that when you put the vacuum cleaner on, it doesn't suck the pipe flat and stop the dirt going up. You didn't know you'd get a lesson in domestic cleaning. In the horse's digestive tract, we've got bands of connective tissue around the organs to prevent them getting too distended with that gas that's produced. So bands of connective tissue maintain the integrity of the gut, stop it getting overinflated, and allow the food to pass through. When the food passes through the small intestine, because it's a lot smaller and it's got a strong muscular wall, muscular action called peristalsis squeezes the food through. Once we get to the hindgut, because the gut is so much bigger, any effect of any muscle in the gut wall is a lot less because of the increased size of the gut. So we're relying now more on the fact that food coming in is pushing forward food that was there before. So if the horse keeps eating, his food keeps moving through his gut. What can happen is the horse might have a long period of not eating. As we said before, water is gradually being withdrawn from the gut. And we can get a situation where if we're not looking after the horse properly, feeding him and watering him, the food in his gut can get so dry that in the end it can't get round a bend and we get an impaction colic. Some people might say that the horse's gut has design faults in it. I would say the horse suffers from mismanagement.